Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Peyton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule. Today is Friday, December 26th. We are presented by the great folks over at FanDuel. Kenny, we're recording this portion of the show actually on Friday, a rarity in our sphere. Obviously, we mostly record the shows Thursday, try to get them out on Friday. Holiday season. Hope everyone had a wonderful Merry Christmas. And so we did not record on Thursday, but we wanted to get the most up-to-the-minute bowl stuff that we could. Eli Drinkwitz just got done with a press conference that Kenny was tuned into. So we'll get this out a little bit belated on Friday, but it'll be out in plenty of time for your Friday afternoon, Saturday morning viewing before Mizzou takes on Virginia in the Gator Bowl, Kenny, 7:00 on ABC. The Tigers right now on FanDuel, 4.5-point favorites. The over-under is 45.5. I'm going to start with this. I've been kind of, for as much as we've kind of been rah, pound the table, and it's a shame Peyton isn't here because he, I think, more than most, being our resident bowl expert, does this. I've still had trouble of getting in my head. This is an important game for Missouri. I still sometimes look at bowls as, they didn't make the playoff. It's not a huge deal. It's, a nice way to wrap a bow on the season. But this game matters for Mizzou. I mean, this is a chance to get to 9 wins. We've talked about this. It's not. I think the thing that I struggle with is both the idea that it's not as important as the playoffs. Also, frankly, Kenny, since we've last talked, a couple of coaches have left. Of course, Missouri has a new offensive coordinator. He won't be coaching in this game, but some other coaches have departed too, some other assistants. So it's going to be a little bit of a skeleton crew in terms of how they navigate this bowl game. I'll start there. I guess your thoughts on some of those departures. I know Durham Cato is out. And I know there's one or two others as well. A couple followed Kirby Moore to Wazoo, but that's where I go with this bowl game, where I'm like, it's not an asterisk, even in the same sense as Ohio State fans wanted to put on the Cotton Bowl a couple years ago. But, there will be a different, kind of operation for Missouri on game day. But this game is still, I think, massive for Mizzou in terms of Drinkwitz's resume. He just signed this contract. This is a big deal, but Mizzou is going to navigate, kind of a different coaching structure on the sideline on Saturday night.
Yeah, you play in the part of Mizzou's trying to reach 9 wins in the 3 consecutive seasons for the first time in school history. That's still a big deal in my opinion. I've been kind of on Drinkwitz's side with the notion of, not every team should really play with the mentality of its college football playoff or bust. Yes, it's 12 teams, but I don't know if Missouri is really in that category yet to treat itself like that. Of course, Drinkwitz has been saying this for years, even when he was a part of that team that went 6-6 and lost to Wake Forest in the Gasparilla Bowl, that if you're not playing to make the playoffs, you're not playing to compete in the SEC championship, then what are you doing? It's not, you don't really punt on college football seasons because it's not the NFL. It's not a professional, it's not a professional league as much as these players are getting paid. I mean, it's not the NFL. So that's something that just came up for me, is that, I'm still on that side of it, that the bowl games still matter. And I think that still comes from someone that grew up with it. If I try to remove myself, I can understand it from other people's perspectives of, the bowl games probably matter a little bit more to the fans than to the players. But I did like Drinkwitz's comments about that, a lot of these guys that probably won't make it to the NFL, that won't play football ever again after Saturday, they would give up anything to play one last game. And I thought that was a good thing to, kind of, instill. And I'm sure that that's what the notion is. And we've kind of seen Missouri put STP to the side. It's this new Mizzou way, the new way, trying to finish what you started, come to Mizzou if it didn't work out somewhere else and stick with it. Of course, there's guys that have opted out of this game from the transfer perspective and not just injuries. Of course, that we mentioned it. Josiah Trotter will be out with a knee injury. And then on the linebacker side, and then at tight end, Brett Norfleet is out after having shoulder surgery. But you got guys, Marquise Johnson, Joshua Manning, 2 wide receivers, Bo Prabula, who was going to be the starter in this game at quarterback, not going to be playing either. Those 3 guys, announced their intentions of entering the transfer portal and just won't be with the team. So from that perspective, I think I already lost my track of what I was going to say, but I think that's the best case of this. It's not one of those games where it's a kind of I wouldn't want to say like a coming out party for any players, in the sense of you're still trying to win the game. Like last year, you did have some wide receivers that stepped up and probably try to parlay into a better year next year. But a lot of this is going to be a lot of starters coming back, and Drinkwitz and his staff have done a good job of trying to get not many guys to opt out. Guys with NFL aspirations, Zion Young, Damon Wilson, Caden Green, all of them are expected to play, and that's a good boost on the offensive line and at the edge rusher position.
Yeah, I think the no opt-outs thing, save for the guys who are hurt and the guys who are transferring, and Drinkwitz has been open about that too, of course. He's let those guys, he's let guys who intend to enter the portal, play in the game if they want and then go transfer. So it makes sense that the ones that aren't. It makes sense that the guys who are injured aren't. But yeah, this is still a big deal. I think the other thing for me, and I mean no disrespect whatsoever, because we're about to talk about how good of a team they are, there are just some of those schools where I hear school and sport, and I just am like, oh yeah. And for some reason, for me, Virginia and football is kind of one of them. Of course, like growing up in our time, they've always been kind of a men's basketball school. Tony Bennett's been successful. I feel like I even knew about Virginia, like some other sports, like they've been good, like lacrosse, and I think of things like that. And I just don't often associate top of the ACC football with Virginia. This is a really good team, Kenny, that Missouri's going to play, that Missouri's favored against. They, of course, made it to their conference championship game. They, lost to Duke in a game that they're probably going to be pretty mad and hungry to avenge because they wanted to be playing in the college football playoff right now. So, I don't want to overlook Virginia, but it's obviously it's not a Clemson. It's not a Miami or some of these other ones that Mizzou could have gotten that are more name brandy, but this is a really good opponent that Missouri can test themselves with. Really interesting season for Virginia under Tony Elliott. I think this is his first year even above 500, and they go 10-3 in only 2 regular season losses. They lost to NC State in a non-conference game because that can apparently happen. They lost to Wake Forest, and of course they have that championship game loss to Duke. Where I start with the biggest discrepancy, of course, Kenny, to me, between these two teams is the quarterback position. You have Matt Zollers, who's going to come in and play as a true freshman in a bowl game in a year that we were never even expecting him to play at all. And then on the other side, you look at Chandler Morris for Virginia, who's on his, 3rd school. It's Baylor, TCU, and I'm blanking Oklahoma. So his 4th school. Or sorry, not a TCU or not a Baylor. It was North Texas, I think.
Texas, yeah.
North Texas, TCU, and Oklahoma versus this kind of inexperienced kid, but Morris, a good player for this Virginia team. I did want to point out in one of their losses this year, that game against NC State, it was a familiar name for Missouri fans, or not NC State, Wake Forest. Daniel Kalen started that game. I believe Morris played. I think he might have been hurt or started hurt or maybe got hurt during that game. But that was Daniel Kalen. So there is some familiarity for Missouri at the quarterback position behind Chandler Morris, but this is an experienced guy that this Mizzou defense is going to have to try to rattle here, who's lifted Virginia a long way. What do you like about them at quarterback, or just about what you know about these Cavaliers? The Who's? Is that that's what they do? The Who's?
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, they've done that in a while. You remember they had a hashtag with that.
Yeah.
I think that kind of plays into, I want to just add something too about, maybe the logo watching as well, Jack, and you see it. I mean, imagine like Indiana, like 3 years ago, that was the quickest turn on you've ever seen for a college football program, and just the logo identity of that team. This Virginia offense is kind of similar to Missouri. It's built around the transfer portal as well. It's going to be a little bit different for Missouri because freshman Matt Zollers will be making his 3rd career start, and it won't be Bo Prabula as a transfer quarterback there. So you have Chandler Morris coming in. He's worked well, right off the bat. In the first 2 games of the season, he was already putting up 200+ yards through the air. We know he had that big win against Florida State. So it's not one of those things where, you're worried at all, Chandler Morris being your quarterback if you're Virginia. I mean, he has all the experience in the world. He's been in this offense for a while. or for this entire season, outside of getting banged up against Wake Forest. But 16 touchdowns and 9 interceptions after the ACC championship. He kind of slowed down a little bit just in offensive yards near the end of the last 2 games. But I mean, nonetheless, it was a good offensive year for him. Jamari Taylor and Drinkwitz mentioned this in their press conference on Friday, kind of joking about it. He's like, I saw a tweet that, he's still mulling over the decision in the NFL. He was trying to get Tony Elliott to tell him what's going to happen with him. But another transfer guy coming over from North Carolina Central. He had 1,146 rushing yards in 2024. Kind of sounds like someone else, that did that with coming over to Missouri. With Ahmad Hardy. And so overall, I mean, it's just one of those cases where, the offense really went through Taylor as well. 1,000 yards on the ground this season, 14 touchdowns. He also did a little bit in the receiving game with 253 yards and another score. So I think it's one of those more experienced offense that Virginia had this year that really, steered an impressive season. And I was even looking at Tony Elliott's numbers, coming into the year. He was 11-23. And he mentioned in the press conference too, it was just him and Drinkwitz and MC, sitting all together. He mentioned, one of the leaders on his team. He's like, he was here, with Bronco Mendenhall before Tony Elliott showed up. He had been through that. He's never played in a bowl game. So it kind of sounds like, Missouri a couple of years ago with some of these guys that had never won a bowl game, nonetheless been in one. Trell Harris is the wide receiver to know for Virginia. 6 foot, 200 pounds, good size to him. He's a full-time starter, caught 4 passes for 145 yards, 3 touchdowns against Stanford near the start of the season. Against Duke in the regular season before the ACC title game, he had 161 yards and 1 score. So he's done it well against some good teams, but that's one of the guys to know on offense as well.
Yeah, they kind of have a bell cow. I was trying to go through their losses and note what the things that those teams did that maybe Missouri can do. One of those things was for sure slowing down the running back Taylor. I think he was under 100 yards in 2 of those games. I think it was Wake and Duke were both able to kind of hold him. NC State was weirdly kind of a shootout with this Virginia team. Their games looked higher scoring at the beginning of the year and then sort of, were very defensive oriented. Wake Forest obviously got in a rock fight with them. I think the final score that was like 16-9. So, they were able to really slow him down. So yeah, keying in on Morris. I mean, Missouri has been able to stop the run this year. I think fairly well. I feel like that's been a pretty good calling card. It's interesting. I think about where Taylor ranks among some of the running backs they face, though, because as good as, I guess you had 2 Doak Walker finalists from the conference, but one of them was on Missouri and another one was a guy that Missouri didn't face. There wasn't like a bevy of running back talent that Missouri's faced this year. I don't think. I mean, none really like jump out to me as, wow, this was a guy who Missouri absolutely shut down. It wasn't. So, this might be one of the more, if not the most talented rushers that they face. So, that'll be an interesting kind of wrinkle for this game, I think.
And I think it's a good spot for the defense to be in. We're really expecting just 1 loss in Josiah Trotter. And I guess it was a little bit of a surprise. Didn't know that he had suffered a knee injury in that Arkansas game and be held out from this. But when you have, good edge rushers staying in and the defensive line looks complete coming into this game, you didn't lose any real star contributors to the portal. I think you're in a good spot just defensively. And, I don't know what kind of holds. I mean, by the time this even goes up, we might have a better answer on if Taylor's playing. But because Drinkwitz did joke that, he saw the tweet that, he's still kind of waiting out to see if he's going to opt out in preparation for the NFL draft. But I mean, at this point, too, we're a little over 24 hours until the game starts.
Right. Yeah. It's, I don't know. I feel like that decision maybe needs to come, but you never know. The backup, it looks like, is this guy Harrison Whaley, about 500 yards and 5 touchdowns is the one. I also noted, I read, you guys interviewed Justin Ferber from the Virginia On3 site over there. He noted their tight end. This is one thing I'm really intrigued to. The red zone defense for Missouri, I think, is going to have to be big in this game. They have a tight end, Sage Ennis, who only has 179 yards, but he's 5 touchdowns. He has as many as Harris, and is, Ferber described him as kind of a red zone threat. And then they said, and this will be interesting with the Taylor factor too, they do a lot of direct snap stuff in the goal line. They have some tush push things that they run. So It seems like it'll be a big test for Missouri's defense there when Virginia does get around the goal line. It seems like they can do some stuff. He also mentioned the other two receivers were really good. They were the Cams. Cam Ross, Cameron Courtney were pretty good. Have shown some flashes. They don't have super great stats, but they were two other guys. And then defensively, this is a really good Virginia defense, Kenny. The of course notable holdout. that's a bad way to put that, but the notable I guess out for Virginia is Cam Robinson, their linebacker. He tore his ACL a couple of games ago. I think was their leading tackler. It was at least up there. He's second on the team in tackles, 64 and 8 sacks, or 2 sacks. Sorry, I read sack yards as sacks. 64 tackles, 2 sacks. He's second on the team. He's not playing. He tore his ACL. So that's their big, I guess, absentee on defense. But the stat that jumped out to me, 28.2%, Kenny. That is the amount of third downs, percentage on third down that Virginia has allowed this season. Very good team on third down, defending wise. So that's going to be huge for Missouri's offense. Is how Zollers, I think, and the coaching staff, frankly, without Kirby Moore, who I know has had an up and down year, but how they execute play calling wise on third down is going to come up big. I don't know if you have any thoughts there. I have some blue chippers too to mention on that Virginia defense.
No, I mean, give me the blue chippers, just, who else we should be kind of looking out for. I think, a good spot for this Mizzou offense is, I think you have a lot of young guys that are going to be playing, and we like to say it's not a showcase for the next season and, try to get these guys up to speed. But when you have an experienced offensive line in front of you, and I think there's still, a difference in talents and difference of play style between the ACC and the SEC. So that can, be any challenge that you want to, bring up, but give me those names.
Yeah, well, and the couple other stats with the third downs too. The discrepancy was really notable in those 3 losses. Is Virginia, I think, had like an average of like 13 or 14 third downs, and whoever they were playing was in single digits for how many they were even in. So, I think it's going to come down to Missouri's got to play its style, long drives, picking up, good plays on first down to not go into that situation, because you're not going to get let out of jail on third down by Virginia. And that's what those other teams kind of did. And they forced a lot of third downs. Other thing too is turnovers. Only one of the quarterbacks in the 3 losses threw an interception. And it was actually Mensa in the win that Duke had in the championship, had 1 pick. So Zollers is going to have to limit those mistakes. Those of course have been backbreakers for Mizzou all season, but yeah, the top name on defense, it looks like, it's actually in the secondary. It's this guy, Devin Neal. He's a safety, not the Kansas running back. 77 tackles, doesn't have an interception, but 6 pass deflections. PFF, he's leading them in defensive grade, run defensive grade, and tackle grade. Those are all in the high 80s, low 90s. He's also in the low 80s for coverage grade as well. So this is kind of like a do-it-all safety, it looks like, for them. And then I know Ferber also pointed out the other linebacker, Maddox Marcellus, great name, 49 tackles, 1.5 sacks. He, I believe, leads them in run defense, or I think it might be tackle grade. It was one of the ones he was up there. But he's very solid as well. Actually, yeah, high to low 70s, kind of across the board for his PFF numbers. He's sort of the guy at linebacker, and then there are 2 edge rushers. Michael Melton, Daniel Rickert are both good. And then in the secondary, they have a true freshman named Corey Costner, who's apparently very explosive. He can return a little bit. And then Ethan Minter is the other DB. He's another safety, 47 tackles. He has a pick this year. And then the other notable absentee they do have in the secondary, their interceptions leader, Jason Pravard, I believe, is transferring. He has 3 picks this year, but Costner, the freshman, has 2. So there's a couple other guys to watch. So they aren't like a super high turnover team. They're kind of average, but have some guys who can play the football well. Zoller's got to, especially without a Norfleet and a Johnson, got to be careful.
Or Manning too, yeah.
Or Manning, got to be careful with risky throws.
Yes, you say it's kind of an average turnover team, man. That sounds like a lot more turnovers than Missouri has done this year, though.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they have. Let's see, what is it? 13 picks. So, definitely a lot more. 13 picks 11 fumble. Maybe it's a high turnover team. Maybe I read the wrong thing. I might have to I'm gonna recheck my facts. But yeah, so there's some guys that can certainly do some damage. I think it's gonna come down to third downs. They were also in the top 15 in like the amount of first downs the opponent's average. They were in the top 20 in rushing yards allowed. So that's going to be big too with how they stop Hardy. Because of course there's plenty of guys still that are going to play the whole offensive line, the running back, and you still got Kevin Coleman at least as a receiver. So plenty of weapons. What else are you looking for in this game for Missouri? Why look at the turnovers?
Yeah, I think it's good to talk about Zollers. Drinkwitz mentioned he does have 2 starts against SEC opponents. It wasn't the best game overall, just entirely for the offense against Texas A&M, but a good response all around, especially from offensive play calling. Once you took on Mississippi State at home, then the following weekend. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how Zollers plays in this one. I think Virginia's still probably a better team than Mississippi State, but it's good competition for him, especially with he might be entering another quarterback competition. Missouri might see another one. Just really kind of depends on how the transfer portal shakes out, and who they can bring onto campus to be in that quarterback room, because we know there's going to be someone else joining that room this offseason. So I am intrigued by that. He's probably going to have a couple guys that will be future pass catchers for him. The wide receiver position, you do have Donovan Olubade, Kevin Coleman Jr. playing in his final game, but Olubade is going to be a returner, at this point. And Jude James will be at that tight end spot, could see some decent run. And also heard Gavin Hoffman could also be a guy that's going to see an uptick in snaps in this game. And I know Peyton wishes he could be here for this to talk about Gavin Hoffman as well. As he's been on the show,
friend of the program.
Friend of the program. But I think all around, it's a good. This is just one of those cases, though, where we're saying it's not like a showcase or anything like that, but it honestly could feel like it. And I just looked it up, or just saw the tweet from Hayes Fawcett. Alonzo Barnett is entering the transfer portal. UCLA, or could Mizzou go after him?
Interesting.
I have no backing on that. I just say it.
Not reporting. By the way, Virginia is, they're like tied for, in a rough count, like 28th in like defensive turnovers with 20. So, they are up there. It's definitely a much higher turnover team than Missouri. Missouri has kind of made its bread and butter at, slowing teams down, but not necessarily those kind of explosives. Texas Tech, 31 turnovers this year on defense. Ridiculous. The only team with more 30 or more. It's good team. It's I was you kind of answered it. I was curious what your thoughts were in terms of someone who could have a breakout, because it's obviously great to have a lot of the starters, but and maybe it will be a guy who actually has played a fair bit. We highlighted in our little recap, awards thing, Santana Banner was a guy on defense who's really flashed this year. Like, could he have a really good game? And who is going to be that safety valve for Matt Zollers? Because I think that's what Bo Perbula leaned on. That's where you could get a Jude James or a Gavin Hoffman. And go ahead.
I think it's Jude James. I think Jude James could probably have a massive game in this. There's a good connection there already. They've scored 2 touchdowns already together. Week 1, I guess you could give a lot of credit to Jude James for catching a short pass and running it all the way in for a touchdown against Central Arkansas. But he scored a game against Vanderbilt. That was a game that Brett Norfleet went down with that shoulder injury that ended up ending his season early a couple weeks later. And I think for a quarterback that, is not going to have all the top wide receiver options, as we mentioned with Joshua Manning and Marquise Johnson intending to enter the transfer portal and leaving the program, you're going to have to lean on some of those guys. And the tight end position is always kind of that safety valve. He does have some good wide receivers too. He's very familiar with Donovan Olubade. They're good friends. And Joshua Manning, not Joshua Manning. Who am I blanking on now?
Marquise Johnson?
No. Oh man. Kevin Coleman.
Coleman.
I was thinking about all these different wide receivers, and you have Kevin Coleman there. That's the ultimate safety valve. It seems like, any streak across the field or any, drag, he's always kind of trying to pick up extra yards. And you didn't really see it as much near the end of the season with the passing game falling down. But it was very evident against teams that weren't in the SEC, especially Kansas. He had a great game against Kansas.
Yeah, that guy is, he's going to be so underrated from a team that didn't, end up reaching the ceiling we were kind of hoping for. But Yeah, I think that's going to be really important is who you can get, kind of those easy leak outs. And even if it's a bunch of catches for not that many yards, just have someone that Zollers can go to. It seems like he likes Jude James. So that'll be an exciting partnership, I think, to watch. But yeah, for me, this game, in terms of Missouri winning it, third downs, time of possession, I realize that's a very cliche coach speak thing, but that is what this Virginia team is good at. Another thing that both Duke and Wake Forest did in those recent wins, won the time of possession. They simply had the ball longer than Virginia. I've become a big advocate of that, Kenny, because I think that's led to a lot of success for Mizzou, is just like the best defense being not even good offense, just really efficient offense that can, especially with how good Missouri is at running the football, you know, elongating drives, getting that offense out of rhythm because they have to sit on the bench for 8 minutes. I mean, that was how they won that Kansas game. I think that this could go somewhat similar against, albeit a much more talented Virginia team. I think Missouri did that against Alabama to a little bit of an extent too, that stay in that game. But in the end, you're going to have someone step up and make a play, whether that's Zollers or someone else. Do you want to do some predictions?
Yeah.
Does Missouri cover the 4.5 point spread? Does the over hit? Does the under hit? Do we have a sicko game in the Gator Bowl? What are you going with?
Was up to 6.5 at one point. I think it fell down when Boca.
It went back down. It was 4.5 last night on FanDuel when I checked. I'll check one more time. One last. Maybe Drinkwitz's comments push the line.
4.5 is tough.
It's always fun when you click on a spread and it changes in real time, like right in front of you. You're like, what happened?
Never had that before. I think you need help.
Still 4.5.
It's a tough one because you don't have too much familiarity watching Virginia this year. I mean, I think a lot of people saw the Florida State game early on in the season and probably watched the ACC championship as well. I could see a world that, it's so hard. I was thinking about this last night. I was getting ready for, I was watching like the pregame shows for the NBA on Christmas Day. And then they were like, picking their who's going to win each game. Those are such toss-ups. I mean, how are you going to pick, who's going to win each game? You just have no idea. Not everyone plays in the NBA. And I just feel like the bowl games are kind of similar. It's such a hard thing to just pick. We have the pick'em leagues of, you can put confidence pools on who you think is going to win. That's all luck, other than, the playoff games that probably have a little bit more of an analytical approach you can take to them. This game could be a field goal game. One team could blow out the other one. But I think in my mind, this could be a field goal game. I think these two offenses are very similar in the way that they're produced. And, if all the guys that we mentioned are playing in this game, I think it'll be a good offensive game. And these defenses can control the lines as well. So I think Missouri doesn't cover the spread. How about that? I'll go. But I still think Missouri will win it.
Okay. What do you want to put down a score?
Yeah, I'll put down my score right now. Pull it up. I'll get Peyton's score and add it here, so you won't hear it on the podcast, but maybe we'll talk about it.
Talk about it after, because when it inevitably hits, and he's
the winner. So he has 6 wins this year. I have 5, and you have 2. So we haven't done this in a long time. What's the over/under for this game?
The over/under on FanDuel is 45.5.
Ooh, that's low.
Yeah, it is low.
5.
Do you want me to tell you what I'm thinking while you're pondering? So the score I initially wrote down was 21-17 Missouri. That felt fairly safe. Not a lot of scoring. Everything I keep reading is, these are two similar offenses. They like to run the ball. They like to win the time of possession. I just got done saying that is what Missouri, I think, needs to win. And then I just look at some of these Virginia scores from like a month ago, and I'm like, man, 30-27 against Louisville, who's a team, kind of at Mizzou's level. Florida State, 46-38. And I'm almost like, is this going to be like a weird shootout game? Like, how risky does Drinkwitz get without his OC, with a freshman quarterback? But I can't quite talk myself into it. Like, I'm almost like, what if Drinkwitz just is like, screw it. I do really want to win this game, but let's try some stuff. Let's air it out. Let's see what we can do to get Zollers going. But I don't think that's the recipe to win. But Virginia's been in a weird amount of those games. The NC State game they lost was 35-31, but that was all a month ago, 2 months ago. You go on Wazoo 22-20, 16-17 against North Carolina. That game had a crazy ending, if you remember that one. That was the goal line. He dove at the pylon and was was short. The first Duke game actually was pretty good. 34-17, 27-7 against Virginia Tech. I'm going to stick with mine. That is where Virginia has trended in terms of its scores. It's been a little bit more lower scoring. There's a little part of me that I'm like, man, do you see Mizzou getting 3 touchdowns in this? Get to 21 points, but I'll stick with it.
So you're doing 21-17.
21-17 Missouri.
That's where I was going to because I was doing the math in my head. So
I did divide it. That is how I started.
I usually take the number and subtract by 17 and see what the last number is. Or for the over under. Yeah, I'm with you there, Jack. I guess I'll just kind of try to change it up to be a little bit different because you have it at 4 points right now, and I think maybe I could make it 3.
That'd be 38, by the way. So it'd be the under. The under would hit.
Yeah. So I'm going to do. Wait. So the over under is 44.
44 and a half. 45
right, so I'm going to go.
Excuse me.
I'm going to take the over, but I'm going to take Missouri to cover this game.
Oh, you are.
Sorry. Virginia to cover the game. Yep. So I'm going to do 24-21 Missouri. Close one.
Okay. I like it. I think you're right. This game could go a number of ways. I think, man, I don't know. I want to say like not a lot will disappoint me in terms of like if Missouri loses. I mean, if they just get run out of the building, certainly with the amount of starters they have, that would be pretty shocking. I think even with the coach departures and some of the key injuries, like there's just too many good players that are participating in this game to do that. I don't think that will happen. With Missouri's defense being able to keep it in games, I don't foresee a blowout really either way. But I don't know what to think. I think it's a bowl game. You're right. At the end of the day, those can go a number of ways. So enjoy it, Mizzou fans. The Gator Bowl, 7:30 or 7 p.m. Jacksonville. If you're going, I guess have fun in Jacksonville. I've never been. I've never had all too much interest in going. Duval.
I've been.
Oh, you have? Did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I just went to the Jaguars-Texans game. That was it.
Yeah, in and out. Did you watch the NBA on Christmas? You teed that up for me.
I watched Cavs, Knicks.
Okay.
And then I watched the NFL games the rest of the way. And I have a let's get off. No more Gator Bowl. You guys can skip if you want to get to basketball talk.
Yeah, we're on the other side. We'll have Illinois and quick hits. But yeah, what's your thing?
I have a hunch.
Okay.
You know these commercials that talk about football is a ploy to just sell food.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 2 games that were on Netflix this year were just a ploy for people to watch Stranger Things, get more people to watch it. I don't know if you noticed this. They released the episodes for volume 2, great volume, a lot of filler, a lot of just, answering questions. Wasn't as good as the first one. I'm not complaining. I enjoyed it. That came out at 7 p.m. Central Time. That's around the time that those games, the second game ended. It was right before then. So you go right after that into Stranger Things. And that's where my mind kind of went. I think that was great scheduling by them. I think I'm on to something.
Netflix is doing a lot of things right now in terms of boosting their kind of pedigree with just having the NFL and trying to market things like Stranger Things and kind of win they're trying to win the streaming wars. So I don't hate your theory. I watched Kenny, no football. I did all basketball. I said these NFL games don't matter to me. I went NBA only. The Timberwolves Nuggets game ended at like 1 p.m. Central, 1 a.m. Central. It was awesome. It went to overtime. It's great. The Christmas is the NBA's day. That's the take I'll end on.
Here. Need my backup.
Yep. Christmas is the NBA's day. Speaking of basketball, enjoy this because we're going to go to our past selves with Peyton and talk about the future of Missouri men's basketball after that game. Yes, you know what we're talking about. It's the Illinois game. Horrible result for Mizzou. And we talked about what it could mean for the future. So stay tuned for that, and then we'll have quick hits right after. Don't go anywhere. Hold on, folks. Kenny, go ahead.
Breaking news. Peyton is taking Missouri 24-21.
And now for something completely different.
All right, we're back with our past selves, Kenny, Peyton, and I, to I was thinking about how I wanted to start this segment. And, I think I'm going to have to start with apologizing to you two and to the rest of the Mizzou fan base for having any optimism whatsoever. This was a theme we talked about, you guys, like throughout the the preseason of, it seemed like, the national media and college basketball talking heads who we like. And I think, generally most of that community is pretty great and knows what they're talking about. But it seemed like a lot of them were a lot higher on Missouri than the fan base was, certainly than you guys were. I think of the three of us, I was probably the most optimistic. I was banging the table about the continuity and having the two all SEC level guys come back and found a way to get excited about this team. Everyone within the Mizzou fan base, and you two included, were right. This team is terrible. The season is over. It's kind of wild. I think we all three went into this game. I mean, me and Peyton did the preview of it, being like, we are not looking forward to watching this. It's probably going to be a rout. It'll probably be close to the 20-point loss that it was 2 seasons ago. And it was somehow like 50 times worse than even that was. The worst loss in the history of bragging rights for Mizzou. They lose 91-48. Illinois, credit to them, they're a good team, but this to me is now opened up. This will be less of a recap, spoiler, and more of a, things look like they're going to get really bad again. And I'm not. I mean, I guess I'll start with, how many conference games do you think this team's going to win? Because it doesn't feel like they're going to go win 18 again. But I mean, I don't know if we felt that they were going to go win 18 2 years ago. It was bad, guys. Missouri got absolutely smoked for bragging rights. I turned this game off in the second half. Just wild to see where we are. And I think this game really changes things for where Dennis Gates and this program stand moving forward.
When you asked that question about, the SEC record, or just the projection of it too, Jack, I said to Peyton last night, I was like, kind of over under, like 3.5, 4, I think is what I said, Peyton, or something in that range. And we're still thinking, maybe there is a world where you win 4, but I mean, how do you see this team turn around from this loss? So you're down 3 guys, but those 3 guys that didn't play in that game, how much closer is that game? I don't think it's that much closer if those 3 guys are playing. Just all around, just poor performance. And Peyton, I mean, you can speak to it too. It is not the best year for the SEC right now. I even have like Ken Pom pulled up right now, just looking at some of the rankings for these teams. And, there's some higher low major, mid-major teams above some SEC schools. But all around, I mean, it's a down year for the SEC. And it's a pretty down year already for Missouri.
Yeah, they won't win 0 because they have LSU in the conference. That's all I'm pretty confident in saying. LSU is pretty bad. I mean, they gave up 90 to Prairie View. But rest assured, I'll be honest with you. If I watched this team play the 0-19 team, I'm not very confident that this team would beat that one. That 0-19 team, at the very least gave you pretty good effort every night. There were very few nights where they were just getting flat run out of the gym. But this team has done it twice now in their 2 biggest games of the season. There's like no pride. Like, it feels like they could not give less of a shit playing half the time. It really does. I watched some of these guys play, and I'm dumbfounded how they're high major players. It really doesn't matter how many they win at this point. I think the writing is firmly on the wall. They could win. The difference between 0 and like 4 this year is pretty meaningless to me. I think Mark Mitchell alone is probably good enough to win you 1 or 2. If Ant could, for once this season, sustain an entire game like he opened bragging rights with, they might even knock off a team they shouldn't. But yeah, this is not a good team at all. This is embarrassing. Quentin Corporal, shout out to him. He went back and said, by my count, Mizzou men's basketball tallied its 7th worst defeat since the end of World War II. That was the 7th worst loss for them.
Nice tracking.
Yeah, World War II. And it's year 4 of Dennis Gates, and we'll get into it later more with him. But, I mean, to have this be a product in year 4, even if you're retooling a bit, it should never, ever look this bad. And it, quite frankly, looks as bad as it ever has.
on paper, I mean, if you compare it to that team, Peyton, that went 0-19 against SEC opponents, I think this team is worlds better. Like, you just look at the names wise and then the experience behind some of these players. You had two guys coming in the year that were hoping to be first round picks in the NBA draft. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case right now, for Anthony Robinson especially, but just the comparisons there. And then I was thinking about it from a national scale too. And I don't know if you guys noticed this in the broadcast when it went to halftime, that the color commentator said, I think Missouri can still make it back in this one. And I was just thinking, where is this still national recognition for this team? Do people just not know? I mean, where this Missouri team has been under Dennis Gates, just kind of being so up and down. So I wonder, come out and kind of take a step back on it and recognize, what's gone wrong for Missouri, or just what kind of changed in their minds that they thought Missouri was going to be a tournament team coming into the year, because we were pretty hesitant and, trying to take a step back and look at this team, and the team is much worse than what we had imagined.
Yeah, I can't really blame him. Like, I saw some posts from some national people that were like, alarming results for Mizzou. And at first I was like, well, we all saw this coming. But then I'm like, well, it still is an alarming result, because you had one of your worst defeats since the Second World War, and you lost to your rival. And, with the way Dennis Gates does the schedule, this was a game Missouri had to have. And not only didn't they have it, but they came out and fell, flat on their faces. Like, I even looked at the game last year wasn't supposed to be close and was, and obviously this result was double what the 2024 one was, or 2023, I guess, 2024 season, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it is alarming. It's very concerning. And yeah, it now, it really changes the trajectory, because we've seen it under Dennis Gates, right? We have seen literal rock bottom in conference play. We know it's possible. And I don't know how you feel anything else than, other than that the conference is a little bit worse, then geez, like, we might be headed right back for that again. And this is where, the conversations I think are right to start, where I don't know how you guys feel about this, but it seems to me that heading into next year with this recruiting class, like, Dennis Gates is probably coaching for his job, whether it's 4 wins or less. I think a game like this kind of cements that future for him, and sort of that cloud hanging over this Mizzou program next year, because you have nothing to hang your hat on. They have, like Peyton said in the preview, nothing from non-con. And last year is going to get forgotten pretty darn easily because of how it ended. So I think he's coaching for his job next year. I don't think that's a crazy hot take to say now after this.
I 100% agree with you, Jack, because I think on top of just the miserable play, we are starting to see something that I think is even more damaging for a coach's job security than anything else. And it's something that I think really did Konzo in his last year. The fan base is just truly starting to get 100% apathetic. Like, they just are starting to not care. Like, between the product, the shit fucking non-con slate that is embarrassing year in and year out to see over and over, that I just can't even fathom playing again next year with the highest rated recruiting class, like, coming in. I can't, like, it's just the same problems over and over. It's year 4, and the issues that Missouri has are the same as they were against Southern Indiana. It's like you're watching the same thing on loop every year, and that gets so monotonous, especially when the product is so bad. People are going to tune out. Like, I'm not going to tune out because I'm an idiot and will watch all these. But I mean, like, we're starting to see apathy we didn't even see during 0-19. Like, because people saw the year before how fun it was. But, like, now we're starting to realize, oh man, like, he's trying to do the same things. He's not really adapting as a coach. They still have the same exact problems, and it's not working. And they're still playing these awful teams no one cares about. And who really cares anymore? I'm going to go watch football. Like, that's just the most deadly combination if you're a coach. I mean, it really is. And yeah, I mean, the way last year ended, I think really it kind of set the tone, because after that Drake loss, even when they got Crow, even when they got Bryant, even when they kind of, were getting this preseason buzz, it never felt like Dennis had won the fan base back over after Drake, and really even going back before that. And this season, I think, is pretty much killed all the support he had left. I mean, I've seen people on Twitter who were like probably the most ardent Dennis Gates supporters are completely like out. Like, this is as bad, I think, as it has ever been. I really do think this is a worse spot than 0-19.
I'll let you cook, Kenny, but it's a good to summarize Peyton's point that I like. It's one thing if you're a good coach and you have a little bit of a valley and people get angry, but it's another thing, I think, Peyton, you articulated in that point, if people just stop caring because they know it's not going to change or they don't think it's going to change.
I was just trying to compare it in my mind to when Conzo Martin, like during the kind of bad stretches and the end of his tenure of Missouri. I mean, you still had some of those games where he tried to almost beat the number one team in the country in Auburn. He lost by 1 point on his own home court. I don't think Dennis Gates can do that necessarily. I don't know if, X's and O's wise, it's always been the biggest thorn in his resume is that, like Peyton said, you're not seeing many adjustments. You're not seeing him get better as a coach. And heck, I mean, best recruiter probably that Missouri basketball has seen in a long time, especially when you sign a guy like Jason Crow Jr. This team is the worst in defensive rating, defensive efficiency in the SEC, 127th in the country. I know I'm not the biggest Ken Palm guy, but I was looking at this because I had some questions for you guys on where you think some schools that are above Missouri right now. But it's one of the worst defensive teams, and we thought this would be something that would improve. There was a couple staff changes. You bring in Steve Wright. I don't really know how much that changes. We know that there's like split duties between Kyle Smith-Peters and Ryan Charbaugh with defensive, with rebounding and defense. And Peyton talked to me. He was like, maybe he'll have to try to overhaul something on the assistants next year if he's going to be back at Missouri. And there's got to be, some kind of change to prove to the fan base, prove to the university that you're going to take that step in basketball to try to get away from just the constant, back and forth of they really lucked into a tournament in his first year. Second year was one of the worst seasons in Mizzou basketball history. Feels like they kind of lucked a little bit more into, Caleb Grill really turning into something and, doing
in his
well.
Sixth year of college basketball.
Tamar Bates was, on the older side too. And of course you do bring in a Duke transfer, and Mark Mitchell had a great season as well. But it feels like you're just going back to his second year again, and it could be even worse. So I just think he has to prove something as well. And I was kind of comparing it in my mind, and I know a lot of people don't like this when you do look at like basketball and football. And I was just thinking it from the aspect of, he got really hot for Drinkwitz after 2022 and what he accomplished after that. But I don't really think there's any signs showing that, Dennis Gates can really turn around the program. And especially, what do you do now? I mean, you had a week and a half to prepare for this Illinois game, and you came out and had one of the worst losses in school history. Now you're going to SEC play. We've spoken about it. It's a pretty tough SEC slate to open 2026. I'll pull it up real quick for some of those games, because I know you have to face Auburn and Florida pretty early on. Yeah, you play Florida at home, on the road against Kentucky, Ole Miss, and you face Auburn. I mean, it's not the same, ranked Auburn team in years past, but still a good SEC team, and facing Florida and Kentucky out of the gate. I mean, I don't even want to call them tests. I feel like you're just going to have to kind of take one on the chin in some of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, I don't. To me, the whiffs in the transfer portal are just, kind of inexcusable, because the thing that's so different with football is, even a little bit more, it's getting less and less true by the year, but you have some time, you can develop some guys. I haven't seen that. Like, we haven't gotten much from even guys like Anor Boateng and T.O. Barrett from that 2024 class that was really highly touted. I mean, those two have not improved at all from year one to year two. And when you're not getting any of the development, to me, like, I don't really care how many 5-stars you're bringing in. Those guys, the good ones are only going to be around for a year. And the ones who, might need some more time, like, need to get better. And we haven't seen that under Dennis. And then when you mix that with just whiffing incredibly hard for 2 straight years now in the transfer portal. I mean, it's just a recipe for disaster. And I don't know how much credit he can take for like a Mark Mitchell, improving from year to year or over the course of a season. I mean, I'm sure Dennis had something to do with that. And, it was good to see a role figured out for Caleb Grill, but Peyton's right. Like, he was in his 6th year. I just don't know. There isn't any evidence to me, Kenny, that this turnaround can happen. It just, I think we should have had it by now. I thought this was going to be the year where it would kind of average out. Like, we would kind of hit a median, but you can't keep doing this roller coaster thing. It just isn't going to work. I don't even want to get into the defense. I had a family member at one point ask me if all college basketball fans were this miserable, because, it's the holiday season. I unfortunately can't watch the games locked away by myself with the privacy of my own thoughts. But so I think, Peyton, did you try to say something there, Peyton? You were muted. Okay. But that, I was losing it with the defense, but I don't even want to talk about that. But I'm rambling at this point. I lose faith that it can be fixed. We just haven't seen it. The evidence isn't there.
I think one of the biggest things, maybe my last final thought on this, is that Dennis Gates is a very likable person. Like, I think that's fair to say. I think a lot of people still like him as a person. I read a story about, he would respond to people on Instagram. He sent a video to a fan who was graduating at Mizzou this past year. So there's still a lot of positives there, but I mean, that can only get you a long way. And I just don't know what needs to be fixed just in the coaching and development side. That even when I said to Peyton last night, we were both, on a headset talking to each other during the game. I was like, what would happen if Boateng went to another school? Where would he be in his career right now compared to where he is at Missouri? Because when Boateng committed to Mizzou, I mean, that was massive. That was the Jason Crow. That was before Jason Crow, that was wow, this could actually be a real thing, that Dennis Gates could bring in top high schoolers. And as much as people start saying, when high school recruiting is only really 1 year because you could lose a guy right after, or sometimes it doesn't matter anymore, some of these guys still stick around, and you're just not seeing those steps at all either. I don't remember who it was, Peyton, that asked us. It was is Teo Barrett, really taking a step forward? Has he been really good? It's still, no. I mean, the points that, he's been a better maybe defender and ball handler, but still really hasn't taken the best shots. And just all around, I don't think there's anything pointing towards Missouri being better than it was last year, even the year before.
You know who I remember, another guy, a lot of people having that feeling toward, and now it's not really fair to him because I think, he was linked to Missouri so heavily so early, but Aaron Rowe was like that. And now, I mean, he's definitely redshirting. We're not going to see him this year. And you can't be, I don't think Dennis can really be in the business of waiting at this point.
Yeah, I think you kind of put it heavily, kind of put it well, Kenny. I like Dennis Gates as a person. I love that he really does seem to care about his players as people. He had the whole line about, I want to be invited to their weddings. He cares about their relationships, clearly. I love that he kind of does, he's willing to do things like that for the fans, like the video. I love that he wears a suit on the sidelines. I really do. I really think that wearing suits on the sidelines is a lost thing in college basketball that should be brought back. That's not even a joke. I really think highly of coaches that do that. But at the end of the day, Dennis Gates is in the business of winning, and he's done that in a couple seasons, but they both came to crashing halts and really unceremonious endings in ways that leave you feeling very, very mixed emotions about the way both of those seasons ended. And then, of course, you have 0-19 and now whatever embarrassment we're about to watch coming up here this year. I don't think it's been good enough. I know he didn't inherit a great situation. It was another apathetic fan base he inherited. Not a great team he kept 3 players from the Conzo team, the first Conzo team, and one of them was Caleb Brown. I don't think Dennis Gates has been good enough lately. it's year 4 and we're talking about the same things. Someone pointed this out and it kind of blew my mind. Like, when you think of Dennis Gates's like philosophy, would you both agree he wants to try and play fast, get out in transition, create chaos, and have them play like that?
I think I know where this is going, but yes.
Yeah. Well, why doesn't their pace of play reflect that? They're in the late hundreds in pace of play. And we've seen what it looks like in the half court when a team is able to slow Mizzou down and run a half court offense. They don't have good sets. They don't create any real spacing, it feels like. There's just nothing going on, it feels like, other than Ant and Mitchell passing the ball to each other back and forth. When T.O. Barrett's out there, like, he doesn't turn it over, I guess, but it's not like he's doing anything productive. He'll dribble himself into the paint and then have nowhere to go. He'll either have to fire up an awful shot or kick it out to someone else that somehow is covered. It's just nonsense basketball we're watching. And I mean, the defense still, it's late closeouts. It's your giant 7-foot rim protector having to guard, like, he's out on the perimeter trying to disrupt passing lanes. Just have his ass sit in the paint and protect the rim.
And somehow when he is sitting in the paint, it still doesn't work. They get behind him.
Yeah, it's just the zone doesn't work, and he clearly doesn't trust them to play man. It's just the same things like as in year 4 as it was in game 1. And it's disheartening to see, because I really wish it would be Dennis, like, to be the one to bring this program to like heights it's never seen. But as time has gone on, I just am less and less confident that that is going to be the case.
Do you want to guess where Missouri ranks in adjusted tempo?
They're 180th or something. I thought I saw.
It's worse than 180th.
My God,
212th.
Close, 211th. Second, not even second worst in the SEC. 4th worst, 5th. Excuse me.
Yeah, the SEC is miserable. It's crazy. It's still ranked number 1 in Ken Pom among the conferences. But yeah. I mean, you guys both nailed it. I think, again, I feel I have expressed myself as very much a Dennis Gates supporter. I mean, I covered his first season there, and there were some really big heights last year. I mean, the things we said on this show about where that team we thought could have gone after some of those games. And that's just what makes it so hard is, it has been a lack of adjustment just purely from a basketball, basketball, I guess, metrics and I don't know, play standpoint. That lack of adjustment. And then I think, like, a lot of the heartbreak where, like Peyton said, these 2 good seasons end and you're like, you're left feeling more empty than you would have if just being angry about going 0-19, because you're like, that team should have been more than what it was. And so that obviously, creates a lack of patience too. So it's just a really imperfect formula. I don't know what's going to, well, I mean, I do know what's going to become of this SEC season. It's going to be awful and bad, but from there, we'll see. But it gets harder and harder to trust that the adjustments are going to be made just because on the court, just because we haven't seen them, and that ultimately will offset, any wins off the court recruiting wise and all that. I think that's just what it comes down to.
Last thing from me, do you guys want to guess the team in front of Missouri on Ken Pom? Missouri Valley team. And then there's an A10 team behind Mizzou.
The A10 team is Dayton, I think.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, I would have guessed George Washington. Is the MVC team in front of Missouri? It's not going to be great this year. Is it Bradley?
No.
Southern Illinois?
Belmont.
That was my next guess. Belmont's good.
2 spots behind Missouri, McNeese, and then 66. So Missouri's 63 in Ken Pom right now. 66 is a team that beat Missouri.
Yep, I was going to point this out. They're ahead of Notre Dame, still in Ken Pom.
I believe Missouri entered the month like 29 or 30.
Yeah, I do remember that. So 63rd right now. Peyton, do you want to guess where LSU is? This is a little bit surprising.
84.
40th.
Wow.
Oh, the metrics.
Is there an SEC team worse than Missouri? Maybe Mississippi State.
Yes, there are 2.
Mississippi State.
South Carolina.
Correct.
Oh.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Missouri will beat one of those drags at the bottom, but I mean, they might even win a couple games, but I mean, I don't think that means this team is necessarily that much better than 0-19.
Yeah, like Peyton said, I think it could be 5 wins, it could be 0. I think it means the same to pretty much everybody at this point. It's grim. Throw your thoughts in the comments if you have any that we missed. We'll see. Maybe Jason Crow, Aiden Chronister, and Reed can be, I don't know, Jordan, LeBron, and Steph Curry, and everything will be happy-go-lucky next year. I tried to think of 3 guys on the same team. I guess I could have said like Steph Clay and Kevin Durant. That would have made it a little more sense. But
They were all on the same team, USA, at one point.
Jordan, LeBron, and Steph Curry.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess they
theoretically,
did
yes.
all play for the Team
All
USA.
play
Yeah,
for the same team, yeah.
that's not an incorrect fact. All right, there's your ending. We will go to quick hits where we'll get a little more lighthearted to finish the show. Okay, quick hits time. We'll finish up the show. We have jerseys of the week. Kenny, what is your jersey of the week? I promise I'm not going to screw that up when we turn to the big 2026. I have a couple New Year's resolutions in mind. One of them is Mizzou related. And now another one is not messing that up next year.
Well, this one's Peyton, so he did mess it up. My jersey of the week goes to Kobe Brown. I thought this was a fun post from Captain Kobe Brown on X at Burden Heisman.
Not the real Kobe Brown, by the way, just if anyone was confused. That's not
It's
actually
Kobe
his
Brown
account.
in a pirate hat and an eye patch.
Arr.
So, photo, it's that meme of Wolverine holding the photo and crying and looking down at the past, and you see DeAndre Golston, Demoy Hodge, and Kobe Brown in that photo. So just, quick question. Don't have to go too much in detail. Pick one player from that team that's not Kobe Brown or Isaiah Mosley, and you could add them to the current Mizzou roster.
Kobe Brown again.
What did you say, Peyton?
I said Kobe Brown again.
Okay. So you said not Kobe Brown or Isaiah Mosley. Demoy Hodge.
Yeah, I'd beat Demoy Hodge.
Yeah.
100%.
Demoy Hodge, or you know what? Just because he always showed some darn fight every game, Trey Gomillion.
He's on the team right
I
now.
know.
Doesn't count.
Okay, well, DeAndre Golston then. Kobe Brown, by the way, 19 games, 3.7 points per game for the Clippers right now. About 2 rebounds. He's been playing a little bit more. The Clippers are awful, but he's been playing a little bit more.
I think of Kobe Brown every time Mizzou loses. My favorite college athlete ever, if anyone is wondering.
That's fair.
Anyways.
Your jersey, go ahead.
Yeah, I need you to intro it for me.
Peyton,
all
what's your
my
jersey of the week?
Ennis Rakestraw. You can pick his Lions jersey, his Mizzou jersey,
set me off.
or you can pick a cap and gown as his jersey of the week. Yes, Ennis Rakestraw graduated from Mizzou this past week. He posted it on Instagram. And a bunch of his teammates put together a celebratory video to congratulate him. These are his Lions teammates, of course. The Detroit Times tweeted it. Very cool video. Good for Ennis. Very happy for him.
Yeah, that rules. Shout out to his teammates for making that video. I really hope he can stay healthy. I mean, shoot, the Lions, like, talk about a player they would have loved right now. I'm pretty sure like all of their DBs are injured. Like their corners and safeties are just not healthy.
Yeah. Rock Ya-Sin playing for the Lions this year. I didn't even know that. I was watching Lions game the other day, and I was like, what? Rock Ya-Sin is still in football? For a guy who's been through, I mean, we talk about setbacks. I mean, Ennis Rakestraw's been through it all. Freshman year, he had a major injury. He didn't get to play in the Cotton Bowl his junior year, right? Junior year? Yeah. And just all around, I mean, he's been through a lot, been injured twice already in the NFL. Good for him to do this. First time, he's a first-generation graduate. Too.
I think that would have been Ennis's senior year, the Cotton Bowl, because he definitely didn't redshirt in 20, unless he got a medical redshirt in 21, maybe.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't have. They probably would have just left him as a senior. They probably didn't change that. Yeah, you're right.
But either way, he graduated now, so cool. Good for him.
Yeah, good for Ennis. Good for Ennis.
Wait, did you guys see who that at the end of the video was?
I didn't see. No. Who is
That's
it?
Dominic Lovett.
Is that really
Oh.
Dominic Lovett?
That's Dominic Lovett.
I would
Yeah.
have
Oh
never
my
been able to pick
gosh.
his face up.
They're
Whatever.
they're OG.
Here, I'll listen to it because you guys can't hear it. I'll just tell you what he says.
I'm sure it's
Okay.
just like congrats, but let's let Kenny. It's like Kenny fill us in. This is good.
Congrats, my
podcasting.
boy E. Congratulations, you did it. I thought you maybe would have said something like former teammates. No, Mizzou.
I'm so glad I left the Missouri Tigers for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Just throws that in there. Good for Ennis. Good for Ennis. My jersey of the week. I'm going national with mine. NBA obligatory. It's Con Knippel. Guys, Con Knippel became the fastest player in NBA history to reach 100 threes. Took him 29 games. Beat Lauri Markkanen's record of 41. It's very exciting. Con Knippel, he's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. Might win it over Flag. Don't think anyone expected that. It's crazy stuff. That's over 10 games faster. Got any thoughts? Got any thoughts, fellas?
Sorry. Oh, we're recording. Oh, man. Sorry. My bad.
Sorry,
totally
I
missed
just took a
this.
little nap there. Surely this means the Hornets are a good basketball team, right?
It does not, actually, Peyton. No, they are not.
Wonder how that could be.
Quite bad, in fact. But shout out Con Knippel, pride of the culture capital of the Midwest.
Is Brandon Miller good?
No.
Yeah.
Why are okay? So if they have this incredible rookie with Brandon Miller, who's apparently supposed to be good,
LaMelo
and
Ball.
LaMelo Ball, why are they not a good basketball team?
LaMelo Ball. I don't know. Might get traded.
Because they're a bad basketball team.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I can't be the czar of the Hornets. I do like the Hornets for their future.
I like no cap, and he's the main bird.
All right, let's move on to Shawnee East Main Bird of the Week. Wake up, guys. It's the Shawnee East Main Bird of the Week. Kenny, who's your main bird?
What?
Did you see this, Peyton? Is this first time seeing it?
I have not seen this.
Okay. So major gift announcements came from Illinois State. Illinois State Athletics announced that they're excited. They got a commitment of $2.5 million from an anonymous former Redbird quarterback. I thought this was fun because I was trying to look up former Illinois State quarterbacks. No Illinois State quarterback has ever reached the NFL, according to Pro Football statistics. So I went through the comments, and there was a CFL one, and some people think it's Kevin Glenn. Luke Drone was thrown around. There's some names in here. Don't really know.
Kevin
Rubley.
Kevin, wait, go back down to that one. Kevin Whitnack from SIGEP Intramurals? ? That's a good one.
That is
That is
crazy.
insane.
Good for Illinois State. That should buy you a championship down there.
Illinois State's advanced this past weekend too. Win over
Yeah,
Villanova.
they played Montana State. Montana State is physical. Goodness. What a team the Bobcats have.
I'm all for this. Let's announce more anonymous donos to teams. This is great.
And I love the idea of just saying the former position of a player. Like, I want to
Yeah.
see former Mizzou punter donates $37 to the athletic department, and it's like Gavin McInnes.
Well, and even if it's not a
Grant.
football
Grant
player,
McInnes.
for
I'm
Gavin
never, ever
McInnes.
going to say that correctly ever.
even if it's not like a football player, former like business school graduate, anonymous business school grad, anonymous lawyer, like donates, just go all in.
Can you think
Some
of
of
any
them are funny.
business school grads from Mizzou, Kenny?
Dude, right when he said it, I thought Ken Lay. Like, that was the first thing that came to mind right when he said it. My brain reset. I don't know what he said after that. I think it would have been funny too if they did a former wide receiver that left for the SEC.
Xavier Lloyd.
Uh,
Throw up the X.
That's awesome. Good for Illinois State.
Good for Illinois
Congratulations,
State. That's sick.
Redbirds. Peyton, your main bird.
My main bird of the week is going to be DK Metcalf, sorta. Because if you're looking for the bird connection there, DK Metcalf is a former Seahawk. And I'm picking him because his team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, defeated the Detroit Lions, putting my Chicago Bears and the San Francisco 49ers into the playoffs. Definitely the most notable thing that happened in this game. Certainly can't think of anything DK Metcalf might have been involved in.
Yeah, I don't have too much of a comment on that, but we'll see how it plays out. That was a wild interaction.
Yes.
I will say I was like listening to the game, like I just had the TV broadcast on, but I wasn't like watching. So just hearing that be described, but without actually seeing it happen was very that was a weird dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah, also, this had one of the craziest last plays I've ever seen, if people didn't see. So, like, they threw to the end zone. Amon-Ra is stonewalled about a yard short. He's getting pushed backwards 4 yards. Forward progress should have been called. They didn't call it. He pitches it to Jared Goff, who has the play of his career and runs it in. But then after a long discussion with the refs, they determined there was OPI on the play, and it wiped it out. So, crazy win.
The best part is the referee saying the ruling on the field is a touchdown. And then everyone goes crazy. And then you take like a second, catch your breath, and then you say, but there was offensive pass interference. There's a 10-second runoff. The game is over.
Yeah.
And the play can't be reviewed. I think it was.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Like, we could have just called pass interference offense by rule. The game is allowed to end on an offensive penalty. The game's over. You didn't need to give Lions fans that. That was cruel. But yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, Kenny. That was an insane ending to that game. What a week for the NFL last week. Just all around. Thursday game was crazy. Saturday game was crazy. Yeah, this one, bunch of big results. The Broncos losing to the Jaguars. Can't believe, like, think about this. The Indianapolis Colts were 8-2, and now the AFC South is going to have 2 playoff teams, and neither of them are going to be the Indianapolis Colts. Wild year.
Oh, well.
What? Yeah, I'm sure you're super sad.
You're not a big Colts guy, Kenny.
Sure you're sad about that.
I liked Andrew Luck. You know that.
Yeah.
Boy, you're a better man than me. If I were a Texans fan, I'd hate his guts.
I always liked him in college. He went to high school right down the road.
Yeah, he's got a lot of Heismans in that trophy case.
Ooh, didn't like that one. Speaking of the NFL,
RG3. Anyways,
my main bird of the week is going to be Arrowhead Stadium, Bird Connection. The Philadelphia Eagles have played in there. I'm sure the Atlanta Falcons have played in there. The Seattle Seahawks have played in there. The Arizona Cardinals have probably played in there. Anyway, it's closing its doors because the Chiefs are moving to Kansas. Might not be a super popular main bird of the week among Missouri-based Chiefs fans. But yeah, they're going to build, I think 2031 is the planned year. They want to move into a indoor stadium. I forget the name of the county. Peyton, you could probably help me. It starts with a W, but
was it Wyandotte?
Yes, that one. They're moving to that county in Kansas and building an indoor stadium. Sad to see another one of the great outdoor venues in the NFL is going to be shutting its doors. That's kind of my take. I know there's a lot more things that people are mad about with this in terms of leaving Missouri. But yeah, Chiefs are moving
to the Legends, that area, the shopping mall. I'd have to look more into this. I didn't read it past the Chiefs are going across state lines, which is really rough for the state of Missouri, rough for the city of Kansas City, Missouri. But yeah, I mean, this has been back like even when I lived in Kansas City. This had been a long running discussion.
So yeah, that's just one pro sports team now in Kansas City. That is kind of wild to me.
Well, I mean, they're still in the
yes, you're right too. But actually, I guess 3. They've got the Current and the Sporting KC. Sorry, that's disrespectful.
And the Royals.
Right.
Well, the Chiefs are still in Kansas City.
The Royals are trying to move as well.
Sporting KC, I also believe, plays on the Kansas side.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tough look for Kansas City. All right. Best thing you learned. Peyton.
Best thing I learned this week. Well, one of the basketball programs is having a decent season. Mizzou women's basketball, I believe this wrapped up their non-con slate. They won 84-57 over North Alabama. I think you got to consider the non-con slate an absolute win for Mizzou on the women's side. They didn't beat Kansas, but Kansas is a pretty good team this year. They did not beat Troy. Troy was probably the bogey loss, but Troy is actually in the net a very highly ranked team. So solid first outing for Kelly Harper. I don't expect they're going to do very well in SEC play because it is just a gauntlet on the women's side in the SEC. But she's got them playing very tough basketball. There's a lot of effort there. So there's a good foundation, I think, so far for the women's team.
I wonder the last time, maybe probably not that long ago, that Illinois and Kansas both beat Mizzou in men's and women's basketball in the same year.
Yeah, it'd be a good question. It'd be tough to calculate because of the move to the SEC. Then it, kind of eliminated that. So you have that time, and I'm trying to think if it's happened since Kansas came back.
It might have happened like 3 years ago.
It might have been 2023. I feel like the 2023 year that might have happened. Oh, but Mizzou beat Illinois. Sorry, Mizzou men's basketball beat Illinois.
Mizzou beat Illinois in 2022.
Sorry, that's what I meant. The 22-23 season is what I was, because that was the first year that that was the second year Kansas came back and played. I don't know. We'll have to look that up. Maybe a good Ken Sports Shorts. Go back through both.
No, I'll look into it.
What is your best thing you learned?
I didn't know this. I mean, there's some people that have been wanting 9th Street to just no longer be a street. Just make it a pedestrian walkway. Got this from TrueZoo on X. This is the second time I looked it up because I was trying to find the tweet again. TrueZoo's tweeted about this twice. Colin and Como, we've referenced him a couple times. He was in the replies as well with photos that he had of how he wanted it to be more pedestrian friendly. I'm not against it. Driving down 9th Street in that part is awful.
I'm all for this. This would be great.
I shook my head because I don't want Mizzou to change from how I remember it. But at the same time, like, this would be really cool to just be able to walk all the way, walk from Speaker Circle to Wendy's with no care in the world about cars.
And half the time you can't even drive all the way down 9th into campus because it's closed for 6 to 8 hours a day. 6 to 8 hours a day. Sorry, was that bad timing? I feel like we haven't done that in a while. I like it.
It'd be so easy. You just cut it off right where that turn to Speaker Circle is, and then
where do you just restart the actual road though? You can't do this all the way to the mini columns.
No. You end it right at B12. Like that's where it ends.
That's probably where it ends.
Because that's a pretty busy street to begin with. What is that street right here?
That's
Walnut?
No,
not Walnut.
Right?
It's
Locust.
It Elm?
God, I'm so old. I would have remembered this 3 years ago.
I think it's Elm.
I think Jack is right. I think
I'm pretty sure it's Elm. Well, I'm all for this. I lived on 9th Street. I think that would be great to close that part of it down. There's a lot of good businesses right there. There's a ton of foot traffic.
Is this a concept or did this guy make this with AI?
AI. It looks like AI. I'm
this is never going to happen.
Probably not until
Never
Peyton
ever.
runs for mayor.
Yeah.
No comment on that.
I'd rather not comment on that.
My best thing I learned, there has been another development in the Damon Wilson Georgia dispute over NIL. He is countersuing Georgia. So Damon Wilson was initially sued by Georgia for violating his NIL agreement and breaking it off and transferring to Missouri. He is now countersuing. There's a pretty interesting quote here from Wilson's attorney, Jeff Jensen, in it. The paragraph that I thought was interesting, the counter was just this. The countersuit alleges that what Wilson signed, he was what he considered to be a non-binding quote-unquote term sheet and not a binding NIL contract without the presence of legal counsel, and felt pressured to sign the paperwork, quote, with the understanding that it was not final on December 21st, 2024. Wilson's countersuit also alleges that the NIL collective damaged transfer opportunities when he entered the portal in January by informing interested schools of the $1.2 million buyout that allegedly didn't exist. This is the crux of all of the problems with, the whole NCAA not rolling this out with any sort of regulations, and just this kind of Wild West idea. It's a crazy situation. Hopefully it can get resolved, but this is what happens when you do this thing and professionalize this industry with so much money in it without any regulations. That's kind of my main takeaway from it.
Lord, so messy.
And Kenny very much.
I don't even know what to really believe with this. I mean, we got the words term sheet, binding, NIL contract in college football, man. Goodness gracious.
Kenny very much distracted me for a second with what he highlighted there.
I'm confused why it's there, unless someone can help me.
I think it's supposed to be suggesting that what state it's in, but it's just the wrong abbreviation.
I think the article's asking for a ZOU.
All right. I don't know if you have any thoughts, Kenny, but otherwise we could shift to best beats of the week. NIL's crazy. Best beats of the week. It's NFL time. Last week, Kenny now back-to-back offers on the Texans. Will he pivot this week? We'll find out in a minute. Peyton is rolling. It's 4 in a row for him. He had the Bengals -4.5. They cruised. Shout out to Joe Burrow. He helped me win a fantasy league. Guys, I went 7-7 in the regular season, and I'm in the championship of one of my fantasy leagues. I'm very excited.
I did that in our league from college, and I won it. So I'm rooting for you, Jack. Join the 7-7 champ club.
I will try my best. I need George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. I was down by like 50, and those two went off against the Colts. Yep. So I also want to point out the Chiefs loss that I have, my one loss in the last 2 months. The Chiefs won that game by 3. I missed that by half a point. Ugh. But anyway,
okay, should we put the banner up or?
Hey, who's winning this competition now?
What do you get in the end of this? Like, it's their
bragging rights.
How'd that go?
Maybe I'll have to email
Illinois Fighting Illini.
I would love the award to be Peyton could pick like his own. You can actually go on FanDuel and it's a Peyton parlay. That would be fun for the NFL or something. Anyway, Peyton, what are you going with this week? The world now wants to know.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead. What the heck is going on?
Go tune in on the YouTube.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the 49ers by 3. 49ers -3 over the Bears. The Bears just got one of their most emotional wins, cathartic wins in over a decade. So they're going to absolutely come out flat. The 49ers are really good. I think the 49ers win this game pretty easily.
I mean, both these teams are in the playoffs now, so at least that takes a little bit of pressure off the game. But
Bears need a win in their last 2 weeks or a Packers loss in the last 2 weeks to clinch the division.
And then would that just about lock them in at 2 if they do that?
If they win the 49ers, I believe the worst they can get is the 2 seed.
Yeah, that would make sense. All right, Kenny. Back-to-back losses for you on Texans beats. What are you doing?
Yeah, the Texans barely beat the Raiders, and I took Texans -14.5, mainly because I took Cardinals +9.5 the week before, and then the Texans destroyed the Cardinals in that game. And I was like thinking, worst team in football comes in after that. Maybe
Thank you, Raiders. Good job.
The Chargers enter this weekend 7 wins in their last 8 games. They've won 4 in a row. Some of those tight ones, they played a little bit closer with the Raiders, 31-14, but 22-19 over the Eagles, 16-13 over the Chiefs. And this past week, they edged out a pretty big win over the Cowboys, 34-17. This game's in Houston, so +1.5 for the Chargers. I'm going to take it. I think this one could really go either way, but the Chargers are just rolling, and I still think the Texans will make the playoffs. And I'll get that those 2. I think I got one back. Yeah, I had it on October 12th. I'm going to go Chargers +1.5.
Is this for the division? No, because you've got sorry, they're not.
No, there's a lot of moving parts with this.
Yeah. The AFC playoffs are a mess, an absolute mess. Mine this week, I'm gonna, do a little callback to Peyton. I'm going to take the Steelers this week. -3.5 over the Cleveland Browns. They need this game. Why did you do that?
Do what?
Okay. Steelers need this game. AFC playoff picture. I think they'll get it done. They got a big. Maybe I should be going with Peyton's logic and saying big emotional win over Detroit, and it's 3.5. 3.5. Kenny. I should be going with Peyton's and doing the emotional win over Detroit, and they'll have a letdown game. But I just don't trust the Browns. Shadur's been all right though. All right, they're writing. They're doing memes.
Perfect timing.
End the show, Peyton.
Yeah, this one comes from our favorite TV series, The
Christmas
Today
is
Show.
so
Guys, what's a witch's favorite subject in school?
Boxing Day. A witch's favorite subject in school is
Expelled.
Oh no, you're really close.
That's actually not a bad guess. Yeah,
You're on the right track.
spelling.
Spelling, yes. Jack wins. Kenny loses.
No, Kenny and I can split that one because I wouldn't have got there
Nope,
with
you got it. What's a witch's favorite subject in school? It's spelling. Shout out Sarah Lemire for the joke.
Thank you,
from
Sarah.
The Today Show.
That'll do it. Boy, it's going to be a long January and February. Kenny, we're going to really need you to lock in on your other college basketball takes so we can do this tier list thing of like national, because we're going to have to talk some national college basketball without any threat of Mizzou being anything. So that'll do it. We will have a recap of the Virginia game, not the day of. I'm gonna go ahead and say not the day of. It will be for Monday's show. So stay tuned for that. And no further announcements at this time. We'll have more Mizzou men's basketball talk, I'm sure. And we'll lock in for Mizzou women's basketball too, because the conference play is about to start. UMKC, last non-con game. All right, that'll do it. Thank you for watching, listening to The Unwritten Rule as always. We'll see you next time.